Welcome back. We've spoken about gold before the break, and let's get talking about silver now. Remember, silver is headed for its best weekly gain in 7 weeks. Prices are up by 2% in this week. Whether or not the momentum will continue is what we will ask our experts. Kunal, let me start with you first. And, as the year began, whether it has been the global experts or the domestic experts, all of you have said that silver is a better bet. It finally seems to be catching up. Is it there yet?
Yeah, it hasn't, but it is likely to going forward. If you look at the ratio of gold and silver, which is now clearly indicating that after underperforming for almost 3 years, it is showing signs that now that scenario is likely to change. Considering the bullish trend in base metal, considering the fact that the industrial demand for the silver have remained strong over the last 2.5 to 3 years, the only reason why silver was underperforming is because of the silver scrap supply. Now, the silver scrap supply, which was a major bearish reason for silver from last 1.5 years, now finally there are indications that the scrap supply is shrinking, and that is one of the major reasons why silver is likely to do well going forward. There is no supply glut in silver, but since the scrap is now getting finally shrink, I believe that silver is likely to outperform gold. And going forward, like I said, from the levels point of view, $19 on the CME, 45 to 46,000 on MCX. Considering the rupee volatility, which I don't expect it to go above 70, anyway not above 69 also, I'm expecting that silver will definitely test those levels on the domestic bourses.
Okay, so while the fundamentals, of course, have been on the positive side for some time, Ashish, do you expect the money to start chasing those fundamentals now?
So on the fundamental side, I have a slightly different perspective. Just like all the other commodities, when the prices go too low, it becomes uneconomical for the mines to go into production, whether it is oil or base metals. I think silver standalone has a very limited supply as far as the mine production is concerned. Most of it is a byproduct of either gold or copper. At these levels, it will become uneconomical even for these mines to function, to continue to extract silver for the market. So most miners will prefer to go on to other commodities. That itself is going to create an indirect supply scarcity over the next couple of years. I think silver at current levels should be considered as one of the bottom prices, and anything from here could be an attractive investment opportunity. I think silver is all likely to go up to 50 and maybe above 50 over the next 1.5 year. In the near term, I would stick to a price target of about 46,000, but I think one can look at buying this commodity in physical from a long-term perspective at every dips and hold on for a target of about 45 to 50,000.
So Ashish, while you have spoken about the upsides here, what is the downside risk here? I mean, if I had to go out and buy today, where should I be looking at? Should I buy at dips? And what is the lower side risk here?
So I think the history says it itself that whenever silver prices have corrected below 38,000 or 35,000, it doesn't sustain for over a couple of trading days. So I think one should not worry about the downside as far as this commodity is concerned. I think even if this commodity has to correct till about 32 or 30,000 for some odd reason, say maybe the rupee correction or a lackluster demand on the fundamental side or the industrial side, I think it still remains an undervalued commodity. So it doesn't matter as far as the prices sustain above the 30 to 33,000, because at these levels the downside looks limited. So 35 to 36 is my possible downside for the next 6 months to 1 year.
Okay. Coming to you as well, Gnanasekar, I mean, we talk this all the time on how silver takes cues from the base metal prices and gold as well. So even as metals have been very volatile, and we've seen a lot of hedge fund money managers interest into that one, depending on the kind of news flow there has been, silver again has been that isolated small commodity which hasn't been able to take the positives around it.
Well, first of all, like Ashish pointed out correctly, I think there's a very clear problem in the supply side which is building up. So far it's not been visible because, it's been playing second fiddle to gold. But at this point in time, I mean, I'm just throwing some figures just for understanding here. Gold mined is somewhere close to 100 to 150 million ounces per year, whereas silver is around 900 to 950 million ounces. But if you look at the usage, I think silver is completely used. I mean, the demand is complete. So there is a deficit in silver which is all the time there. Added to the supply deficit, I think we're going to see an explosive move happening anytime soon. But unfortunately, it's really not happened so far, but it's definitely on the anvil. Uh, uh, as you rightly pointed out, I think metals is one thing which is going to support this rally ahead, which we're seeing already. Gold is sort of subdued, but at the same time, silver is now starting to take off on the back of strength in metals. Because the industrial metals literally consume 50% of silver that is produced. So that itself is a very clear sign, and we're quite bullish on silver, and we have been and continue to be. It's one of the best multi-baggers that you can get in the alternative investment space. We're looking at anything close to 50,000, on upwards of $23 in the coming year.
All right. So while, of course, this whole discussion has been about the precious metals and all of you have been bullish on that, depending on your fundamentals. But I also want to come back to you on how would you place precious metals in comparison to other sectors now. So Kunal, starting with you, we've seen how crude oil prices have behaved. I'm assuming you have your favorites in the base metal space as well. So vis-a-vis all of that, how will you want to allocate funds into precious metals?
Well, like I said, 2018-19 is a year of precious metals.
Okay.
We've already seen outperformance in base metal and energy complex. That's not going to come going forward. So base metal also, it's not bearish, but the upside from here is limited because the supply side at some point will start responding to the higher prices. Oil also same. The fundamentals are not. It's just the artificial way of holding up the prices. The OPEC is holding up the prices because of the production cuts. But at the same time, US production is moving up quite rapidly. So I believe in entire commodity universe right now, in metal space, I think gold and silver is the commodity which is going to outperform.
All right, we take your word for that, Kunal. Gnanasekar, what is your sense? Would you still hold precious metals as your favorite, at least for the rest of 2018?
Absolutely, Manisha, because if you compare other commodities, I think they all have supply-demand dynamics. When prices rise, demand comes down. Whereas in gold and silver, it's just the opposite. As prices start rallying, you'll see more people coming on to gold and silver. So it defies supply-demand dynamics to some extent. So clearly, I think it's the trigger that is being awaited, and once that happens, I think we're going to see an explosive move coming up. Having said that, one needs to be a bit patient and hold on to it. It's something which is medium to long term in nature. I don't think you can expect any short term great returns.
Sure. Ashish, final word from you as well. Any favorites, or would you also continue to stick with this space?
So I would play a little, a broader strategy. If one has to put 100 rupees in the commodity market, I would just say that put about 40 rupees in silver and about 25 to 30 rupees in gold, and reserve the balance to accumulate crude oil and lead on the dips, because I think these two commodities still have a lot of scope to grow. But yes, my major money would be on silver, then comes gold, and followed by crude and lead.
All right, Ashish, you're playing it safe, but your favorites clearly still are in the precious metals space. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. So clear-cut view coming in from our experts here that precious metals, while they may not have performed in 2018 until now, but this perhaps are the levels to start accumulating all of those shiny metals there. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.